Hey there, it's Ginger from Ginger Snapshots. Hey, this week I wanted to answer another question. I just did a video answering a question of a viewer about my Godox A2200, but now I want to answer a question of a viewer that asked about getting into newborn photography as a genre. She's already doing photography, but she's thinking about moving into newborn photography. What does she need to do? How does she need to make that move? So if you're looking at getting to newborn photography, this is a good video to watch. All right, let's get started. All right, so what is the most important thing? Any photographer, I would say, any credible newborn photographer is going to talk about safety first. And that is because that's the difference in the newborn genre. Because, you know, when you're working with adults or you're working at weddings or you're working outside with families, it's completely different. And newborn photography in the studio can be very different even than lifestyle photography, because lifestyle photography with a newborn, the parents are holding the baby or the siblings, or that you're really not posing them, it's just a natural thing. So in the studio with posed images, safety becomes the first thing, and that's where you have to learn the difference in working with newborns as opposed to adults. The biggest thing is their temperature and their head control. So they do not have proper circulation when they're born, so they cannot regulate their temperature. So, you know, I keep the studio at about 78 degrees. It is rather warm in here. If I'm working in here with an adult, I would be happy if the studio was at 68, probably just because I get warm when I'm working. But babies, they need it about 78. So, and then sometimes I even have a heater on. You know, it's gonna vary a little bit. You know, are you running AC or are you running heat? Is it summer? Is it winter? That type of thing. Sometimes in the summer, I just turn off the AC and we just go with what's in here. And the baby's more comfortable. And the parents. So that's the biggest thing, is understanding that you're working with them and you have to keep your environment warm enough for them, that they get cold easy. You have to remember, they've been inside the womb of a body that's 98.6 degrees, and that's what they're used to. And so then they come in this world and you put it at 75 or 72. That's, you know, we're talking a 20 different degree in temperature, and their body is not, the circulation is not working yet. With that also comes the circulation of, they don't have good circulation in their hands and their feet yet. Babies' hands will a lot of times either be pink, purplish color, or they'll be really pale, depending on the baby, depending on the circumstances. The feet are almost always red. I've had a baby, I did have one baby that was 2 days old, and her feet were so purple without us doing anything. She just really was, she was 2 days, she just really was brand new out of the hospital and didn't have any kind of circulation working the way that it should yet. And she seemed very cold most of the session. She just seemed to do better being wrapped up. She was more cozy being wrapped up, and every baby is different. Okay, so that's it. There are lots of courses that you can take, like a baby CPR, a new mom's class, that type of thing that helps you learn about handling babies, that helps you understand their circulation, helps you understand that they can't, you know, that they can't hold their head up. I mean, that's something that seems like it's easy, but you'll have a baby that comes in, even my daughter, I can remember holding my daughter up close, and she'd raise her little head, and I think, oh, she's strong enough to hold her head up, and then boom, it just flopped back down. And so I'd have to hold her close to me because, you know, her little head would flop back down, and I had to be careful that she didn't hit my collarbone. And that's the same way in the studio. So maybe they're in a prop, or maybe on a baby on a little bucket, and they raise their head up, and you think they're strong enough to do that, but then they have the potential for it just to drop back down, and you have to be close enough. So that is another thing, that when you're taking images of babies and newborns, you are always within arm's reach. You cannot ever be. You have to buy a lens that will allow you to be within arm's length of that baby. They may be okay to be in, you know, step back, take the little picture, but you're always within arm's reach of the baby. So safety is the biggest thing. There's certifications, there's lots of classes you can take online that help you understand how to deal with a baby. You need to have in-person experience, but you certainly can start out with classes on YouTube. There's like a lot of these photographers like Mom Tog, Kelly Brown, Anna Brandt, If you can find something by Denise Nadine, there are some photographers like that that are professionals that's been doing it for a long time, and they're also trainers. And they will have free videos out there on YouTube, and then they will also have like a subscription base where you can even get one on Momtog. That's a Catherine out of Canada. She will have a subscription base. You can look her up on Facebook, and she has a Facebook group where she will offer you training on there and then offer one-on-one mentoring. And those trainings, you know, post-COVID, there's so much training you can do online. So if you can't get to or travel to an in-person workshop, you really can start learning right away with YouTube, with Facebook groups, one-on-one mentoring subscriptions, that type of thing to help you. If you can find a local photographer and let them mentor you or follow them or come into their studio or even rent a studio like mine that would be available and just use it that way, that's great too. That there's probably no better way than being mentored in person. So you will have to have some experience before you actually start getting paid for it, but certainly you can start out that way. So if you're going to do it, you would either want to like I said, you're going to have to make sure that you have a camera lens that allows you, a 35 or a 50, that allows you to be close enough that you can touch the newborn and keep them safe and always be watching them. Sometimes if you feel comfortable, you can ask the parent to be a spotter, and you can back up a little bit and they're there. When the baby is sleeping, you think they're not going to go anywhere. But I have been surprised that if I didn't have a parent there, the baby would have or could have had the potential to fall off the little bed that it's on. This hasn't never happened with the posing table. And I will say the next thing you're going to need, after the camera lens, you're going to need a light. Most photographers are going to use a PLM. There's other videos I have out there on my lighting, but most photographers in newborn photography will use a PLM. This one's from Paul C. Buff. Godox makes some, Neewer makes some. I just find that this has worked the best for me. It's directly off the website. The shipping's not that bad. You are going to have to pay probably $10 for shipping, but it's not that bad. The price comparison is not bad at all. I bought 2 of them directly from Paul C. Buff website. This one works best for me, and this is what I use. It's a 64-inch. The biggest thing about newborn photography is learning where to place the light. If you know most anything about light, or you're working outside with light, you know that you just want to have it coming down across the face and not from the bottom. And that gets tricky because you'll move the baby, you put the baby here, maybe you put the baby in a prop that's on the floor and you forget to move your, I've done that. Oh my gosh, I've done that to where I forgot to move the light. I'm just kind of getting everything perfect and I think, oh, this is a perfect shot. And then I go to edit and it's like, oh, I forgot to move my light, and the light's coming from the feet and it just looks terrible. So it's just getting the right light modifier. You can use a softbox. I just wouldn't, unless it's a large one and you know how to really work with it. This one is so great because you can go directly to the floor, you can raise it up, you can turn around and use it as a shoot through for the family shots. But learning to use that light in the right direction is the next thing. After that, let's say you've got your safety down, you understand working with a newborn, maybe you already experienced and you're a mom and you have 3 kids and that's not an issue. And so you've got the safety, you've got the knowing how to handle the baby, you've got the camera, the right lens, you've got the light. What do you do then? Okay, so then you have to start buying the right things. What do you buy? I would say you're going to need something, a posing table, a posing system of some kind. I started with a beanbag and I could never keep it full enough. And I was always worried that baby was going to go forward. I just couldn't work with it. I got rid of it. It wasn't safe enough for me. Lots of people use them. I just couldn't. I switched to a dog bed, and then I put that dog bed on a table, and then I built a frame for that, and that just didn't seem to work. And what I ended up using, and what I have right now, is I bought a round table, took the legs off and mounted that table, my husband did the work, to an industrial sized desk so that it's really strong. It's not going anywhere. I mean, like, a newborn wouldn't is what, maybe 10 pounds at most. So it's not that you need that, but I have an extra strength in it anyway. And then I bought a frame, a metal frame. I just thought it looked more professional. You can make a frame out of PVC pipe, and I did that. It was square, but I wanted a round one, so I have a round table. And then I have that round adjustable height frame that I got from Newborn Photography Props out of California. It works perfect for me. And the reason you want a frame is because you have the table, you've got your blankets to make it soft, and you've got your top layers to put the baby on, and you're wanting to clamp them down and make them tight. And so that's what those bars are for. The frame is to make that tight. So whatever works for you. I know of one photographer at least that started on an ottoman, and I actually have an ottoman, a larger ottoman in my studio that I use for the baby to be on with the parents or looking at the baby, so it works great too. You just want to be able to have a nice large soft, you can get a table, 2x4 table works for some people that you can just pick up from Walmart, and you can lower it down really low or raise it up. They're just adjustable height ones, and that's an easy investment. You're just going to make sure you have. You can buy a piece of foam and put it on there and just have the blankets on there. And you want to, if you're, clamping it down to the table, you're just making sure it's tight enough that there's not wrinkles so that it photographs nicely and that the focus is on the baby and not the wrinkles. Okay, so posing table, bench, dog bed. We're talking about a dog bed cot. That is what a lot of photographers are using because it's low to the ground. It's firm enough that you can put the baby on it, and you just have a platform, so to speak, to work with. All right, from there you're going to need some wraps. I start out with neutral colors. I've got lots of white and creams because you can use them interchangeably. White and creams are timeless, no matter what you're doing. A parent wants to have a picture for their wall, it's going to match whatever they have because it's white and timeless. So I use a lot of white. I always have a white part of the session. The posing bed is always covered with something white. And then from there, pink is probably my most requested color for me personally. I know that sage is big this year. Gray and blue are the next colors that I have that people request. I've had one request for yellow, one request for maroon, and green, and rust. So those are colors that have been requested, but only occasionally. A dark blue. I had someone that wanted a dark blue, and it turned out beautiful because of what they were wearing. Sometimes the parents want to match what they're wearing with the wrap. So how do you get a wrap? Etsy is a good source to go to get newborn wraps. They're just cut for you. They're perfect. I will say that I bought one, and when I bought it and I got it and I looked at it and I'm like, this isn't even sewn on the ends. And I realized that that's what a lot of them do. You buy them and they come and they're not hemmed on the edges. So it's cut pieces of material. And for me, I think, well, I can buy a piece of material. So if you're like me and you want to go out and buy some material, you want to get jersey knit. You can go to Walmart and get remnants for $4, and then you have a wrap and a cloth for your, a blanket, whatever you want to call it, for your posing table with 2 yards. So for $4 you're covered. Hobby Lobby, Joann Fabrics, Walmart, those are the easiest places for me to get to, and you're just buying at least 2 or 3 yards. If you buy the 2 yards, you have enough for the wrap and then the posing table, and if you do 3 yards, you got enough to make a sleepy hat and a headband. It's just how crafty you want to be. What size? This is something that I wondered if I'm going to cut my own, what size. I prefer about a 12-inch wide by about 70 inches long. That varies. Some people will have them. You can have them as low as like 9 inches. I just like to have the more coverage, and you can have them, it depends on what you want. If you want a big trail or if you want to wrap it several times. So, if you do have a super long one and you have a thicker material, it's going to look somewhat bulky unless you do it snug. But that's what works for me. And the jersey knit is what you want to look for, or something similar, just something that has a 4-way stretch. I know people have talked about a 6-way stretch, but as long as you get a 4-way stretch that's stretching both directions, you're good to go. So just invest in some wraps to wrap them in. Check out videos on or practice with the doll. Practicing with a doll for wrapping and wrapping techniques, doing a simple wrap, just wrapping the baby around, depending on how detailed you want to be, how simple you want to be. You know, if you just wanted to wrap. There's sometimes that I just lay the baby on the bed and all I'm doing is putting a wrap on there enough to cover up the diaper, and it trails off within, you know, within the screen, but it trails off. So really, you can have it as little as possible so that it just covers the diaper. You can be, if you want to shoot naked, there are people that prefer that and photographers that do that. I prefer to keep a diaper on the baby at all times because they are always peeing or pooping, and there's just no way around that, and it just seems much easier to work with the baby that way. Not having a mess for the parents to clean up or me to clean up, and that's just the way I normally do it. So the next thing I think would probably be the posing bed, some wraps. Another thing would be the posing beans, or posing something that you're putting, like when you're putting the baby up there, you want to prop the baby's head up, something that helps you pose the baby. You can get posing beans off Etsy. You can use a washcloth and roll it up just right. I actually have a spaghetti noodle that I use sometimes that's underneath of something. So you can use different things. I've heard of somebody using the yoga blocks and cutting them, and they're underneath because the baby's never touching it. It's underneath of all the layers of blankets. I've never tried that. I use a system, the Posing Systems by Modest Little Me, and you can look that up. It's Mallory. I don't remember her last name, but she does these, hand sews these. She works out of Florida on her own. It's not a big company. She puts a lot of care into it, and there are knockoffs that look just like her system on Amazon that do not even compare. So her system works the best for me. And if you can invest in it, it starts at $159 most of the time for one of the systems, and it's worth every penny in my opinion. They just have a nice little, the beans, they have beans that are weighted. She now has, before I bought mine before they were waterproof, but she now has them that are waterproof. There is a system, you know, Original Freeform is what it's called, and that one, it just bends. There's a wire in it that bends, and I use that one when I'm doing like the bucket poses, and it just will wrap around the lip, and the baby is nice and safely on that nice soft posing Original Form Freeform is what it's called, but it has that wire that just wraps around it and snugs. And then when you're putting it in something, in an object, you can bend it up, and it just is more comfortable for the baby. You just feel, to me, I feel more confident in what I'm doing, the safer the baby is, and the easier the material or the products you use, because you are wanting to get it right. So posing bed, wraps, posing assistance things, beans or the Original Freeform, however you want to do it. There's other ones, Newborn Society makes some. There's posing blocks that are made that I haven't used. There are other ones that I've heard good news about. Okay, the next thing would probably be a bowl. And this was one of my first purchases and one of my favorite purchases, because it's so easy to use. And it's like the safest thing, because you put the baby right inside there and they're not going anywhere. You don't have to worry about them falling out or anything like that. It's just to start out when you're nervous or anything like that. This is just, to me, is like the first thing and the best thing you can start off with. Size wise, if you are, I got this off of Etsy, and it was a shop that was in Ohio, and I don't remember the name of the shop, or I would share that with you. I think they may be out of business. So this is a dough bowl, and if you can find them somewhere in the store or online, you just want to see, like, you take your arm to your fist and you put it inside there, and that shows you that it's big enough. So if you can fit your arm, your closed fist from your elbow inside of the prop, it's big enough, and you can use it for newborns. So, you'll be out, and it's amazing when you start doing photography. You'll be out at like Hobby Lobby, and they have rows of baskets, and all of a sudden you start thinking, can I fit that in there? Will that fit a newborn? And so then you go crazy thinking of different things you want to buy. But this is the most versatile and easiest to use for a prop. The next one would probably be a little bed. And you can get lots of cool little beds. This is the most simple one and the first one that I bought. It was on Amazon for like $34. And you put it together. It's basically 3 pieces with 4 screws on this side and 4 screws on that side, and you put it together. It's almost like a little tray that you would carry food in with ends on it. This is a foam mattress that we had that I cut up to use inside of different props, so I mutilated a foam mattress, but I've used it in all of mine, so it makes it nice and soft, and I don't have to worry about stuffing that. And so again, you can see that's the perfect size, and the baby fits on here perfect when they're a newborn. And another reason this is versatile is because you can have the baby facing up and you're shooting down looking at the baby. You can have the baby kind of on the side looking out, and you're coming in from this angle to get the picture. And you can have the baby laying on his belly, maybe the foot hanging over, or you can do the bum up. So you've got the baby's head here and the bum kind of sticking up and the little feet are under it. So like I said, those two things are probably the most versatile. I have a honey bucket from Rozzy Rain that I love. I absolutely love using that one as well. Luna Berry is another place to get good products. We're talking about products that are, well made. You can get lots of stuff off Amazon. This is kind of cheap, I would say, but it works great. There's nothing wrong with it. It's plenty sturdy enough for a newborn. My husband made me a log bed that I use. I bought a little bed that was from a secondhand store that I painted white. My pop made me some boxes. I slapped some decorative knobs on them, and they look like little drawers, and so I used that. Another bucket that I bought off of another photographer and painted it white. I have a heart bowl that I got off of Etsy as well. So there's just lots of different things like that you can use. But I would say a bowl, and I would like to get a white bowl probably. You can have a white, brown, gray, whatever. And, I have a brown bed like this, a log bed, another white bed, and I will have a gray bed soon. So you can have different colors. I have a little metal framed bed that I use also as well. And so those are just, but basically if you start with a bowl and a bed, you're good, really, and you just build it from there according to your preferences. And then you start building on little outfits depending on your style. Headbands for girls, and Etsy is a good place to start with. You can also buy, big headbands. Some parents like the huge headband, and some parents like the ones that are just minimal, that's like a little string. So you want to have a variety to accommodate whatever they're looking for. The babies have little sleepy headbands, a little sleepy hat, and those are adorable. And I've made a lot of those too with the material I bought. So I hope that helps. I just can't stress the safety issue enough, and getting one-on-one mentoring or one-on-one training, but certainly start out with YouTube. Try it out. Get a doll and practice it and see if you even like it, and go from there. So I hope that helps. That's about it for this session. I'll see you next time. Don't forget, hit like and subscribe. Bye.